The price of victory. Modern warfare reinvented the franchise by bringing war into the modern era, and with it came a death that shocked an entire generation of players. In the mission, Shock and Awe, Sergeant Paul Jackson and his squad rushed to evacuate civilians from a Middle Eastern city already torn apart by conflict. Everything feels like a standard Call of Duty rescue mission, until the sky flashes white. A nuclear detonation rocks the horizon. The helicopter is thrown from the air. Moments later, the player wakes in aftermath, crawling through irradiated ruins as the world burns orange. No combat, no cutscene, just the sound of Jackson's gasps echoing through static. He reaches for the horizon and dies. The first-person perspective forces players to live his last seconds, redefining how Call of Duty treats loss. Jackson's death was not cinematic heroism, it was the quiet reality of a soldier swallowed by a world-ending mistake. The campaign closes on another act of sacrifice. In Game Over, Captain Price's team intercepts Imran Zakhaev's convoy on a bridge surrounded by wreckage. Price, wounded, slides a pistol to Soap McTavish, who fires the final bullets into Zakhaev before collapsing. The moment blurs the line between victory and survival. Call of Duty 4 proved that war stories could end not in triumph, but in exhaustion, where the living carry the ghosts of those who saved them. Brothers in Fire. Treyarch's World War II return showed sacrifice across two brutal fronts. In the Pacific campaign, the Marine Squad faces relentless ambushes by Japanese forces using deception as a weapon. The defining moment arrives in Breaking Point. After a long assault, enemy soldiers emerge, hands raised. They appear to surrender, but one hides a live grenade. If the player hesitates, Sergeant Roebuck dives forward, shielding his squad from the blast. If you react quickly, Private Polanski takes the hit instead. Either way, one man always dies. It's not a scripted tragedy, but a choice forced by chaos, teaching players that heroism in war is a reflex, not a plan. The Soviet story delivers a different kind of sacrifice. In Downfall, Private Dmitry Petrenko, guided by Sergeant Reznov, storms the Reichstag in the dying days of Nazi Germany. Blood fills the stairwells, shells shake the marble. And when Dmitry plants the Soviet flag on the roof, he fulfills Reznov's vow, "As long as you live, the heart of this army can never be broken." That line becomes haunting when players learn, in Black Ops 2 years later, that Dmitry's end was stolen from him. A hero's death denied by politics and betrayal. But in World at War, the message is clear. Heroism is not glory. It's the endurance to finish what everyone else started. Loyalty in flames. Few missions in gaming hit harder than loose ends. Task Force 141 sends Ghost and Roach to lead the assault on Makarov's safe house on the Georgian-Russian border to recover data from his operations. While they fight through waves of ultranationalist forces and secure the Digital Storage Module, DSM, you hold off waves of soldiers as the building burns around you, clutching the hard drive like it's the only thing that matters. Helicopters swarm the valley. Then, at extraction, your commanding officer, General Shepard, greets you with a handshake and a bullet. He executes both Roach and Ghost, orders their bodies burned, and walks away as the fire consumes the screen. The mission fades to ash, the music somber and low. It's not a self-sacrifice, but it's heroic in outcome. They died completing the mission that would later expose Shepard's treason. The game closes with the confrontation in Endgame. Shepard stabs Soap McTavish, but Soap wrestles the knife from his chest and drives it through Shepard's eye before collapsing. Price drags him to safety, both bloodied and barely alive. Modern Warfare 2 turns Betrayal into a crucible, showing that the cost of victory isn't just bodies, it's trust, the last cigar. By the time Modern Warfare 3 begins, Task Force 141 has lost almost everyone. Their enemies have names, but their motives are exhaustion and vengeance. In Blood Brothers, a Prague safehouse meeting explodes into chaos when Makarov ambushes the team. Soap takes the full force of the blast and collapses while Price carries him through narrow alleys under fire. Inside a crumbling apartment, Soap delivers his final words. Makarov knows Yuri, then he dies. Price, in fury, smashes his fists against the wall. It's the emotional low point of the trilogy, the loss of its heart. But the story doesn't end with grief. In the finale Dust to Dust, Price and Yuri storm the Hotel Oasis in Dubai to finish Makarov. They fight floor by floor, trading bullets through marble and glass until a helicopter crash traps them on the roof. Makarov, beaten but armed, prepares to execute Price. Yuri, mortally wounded, fires one last time, taking the bullets meant for his captain. Price uses the opening to wrap a steel cable around Makarov's neck, hanging him through the shattered skylight. The final shot shows Price lighting a cigar beside the corpse, the same act he performed at the start of the trilogy. It's not a celebration, it's ritual. Soap's endurance and Yuri's redemption come full circle. Modern Warfare's original story ends where it began, not with glory, but with one man left to remember the ones who didn't make it home. The hero's death denied. In Black Ops, Treyarch reintroduces Viktor Reznov to tell a darker truth. The soldier who once raised the Soviet flag now narrates the demise of his comrade. Dmitry Petrenko, the hero of World at War, is betrayed by his own side during Project Nova, killed by exposure to the experimental Nova 6 gas. Reznanov's voice breaks as he says, "Dmitry Petrenko, a hero of the Soviet Union, died today, a hero's death denied." This one sentence reshapes how Call of Duty defines heroism. In the earlier games, dying on the battlefield was honor. In Black Ops, dying unseen, erased by history, becomes tragedy. Dmitry's sacrifice, stolen by bureaucracy and cruelty, echoes through the entire Black Ops storyline. Heroism, it turns out, is not guaranteed by action. It's granted by memory, and Reznov makes sure the memory survives. Truth as martyrdom. If the Modern Warfare trilogy defined physical sacrifice, Black Ops explored psychological ones. In Rebirth and Redemption, CIA operative Alex Mason uncovers that he was brainwashed by Dragovich to assassinate President Kennedy. Throughout the campaign, his identity fractures between orders, hallucinations, and guilt. In the finale, he finally confronts Dragovich aboard a sinking ship, killing him underwater as he chants, "My name is Alex Mason." The act is both liberation and suicide of the self. Whether Mason survives is left deliberately unclear, but his choice is pure Call of Duty poetry. To die knowing who you are is better than living under control. It's heroism stripped of spectacle. A man drowning, victorious only in the mind. Bloodlines and branches. Black Ops 2 treats sacrifice like a decision tree. In Suffer With Me, set in 1989, Frank Woods is the man on the rifle while Tom Hudson orders him over the radio. The hooded captive paraded as Raul Menendez is actually Alex Mason. If the player, as Woods, takes the clean headshot, if the player aims for the leg, Mason survives, creating the branch that allows a reunion decades later. The mission is a trap engineered to break the men who built their lives around duty. Hudson thinks he is containing a threat. Woods thinks he is ending a war. Both are wrong, and the price is paid by a friend. It is not a grand battlefield death, and it is not even voluntary. Yet it resonates like a heroic loss, because it is the consequence of men who kept choosing the mission over themselves. The lesson threads into the 2025 arc, where David Mason hunts Menendez with a kind of grief that does not announce itself. In one branch, he is a son living with a ghost. In another, he is a son who gets to say hello again and realize that survival can be stranger than death. Black Ops 2 expands the language of sacrifice into choice and stewardship. It asks whether pulling the perfect trigger is always the right act, and whether mercy can be the more courageous shot. In a franchise that rewards accuracy, the sequence dares to make the most accurate shot the most ethically expensive, the price of progress. Sledgehammer pushes the series into a corporate near future where gear is plentiful and certainty is not. The campaign opens with Induction, a disaster in Seoul that pins Jack Mitchell and Will Irons to the shattered ribs of a downed drone carrier. Will sees the timer slipping in the city below. He shoves Mitchell away, arms the charge, and dies in the explosion that drops the wreckage clear. Mitchell's prosthetic arm, fitted in the aftermath, becomes a constant reminder that technology is never neutral. It is a ledger that lists who paid. The story pivots when Mitchell and Alona defect from Atlas to Sentinel. Cormac, a commander built from equal parts gravel and duty, drags them out of captivity and captured even as manticore exposure and trauma are killing him. He has minutes, and he spends them like money, prying doors, propping bodies, and refusing to stop until the team is clear. He dies soon after, placing his dog tags in Mitchell's hand as if signing a transfer of command. In a series full of last stands, Cormac's death stands out because it is all motion. He saves them not by holding a line, but by moving through one more doorway than his body wanted to cross. The finale, Terminus, ends with Mitchell clamping an explosive to Jonathan Irons and then severing his own prosthetic to survive the blast and finish the job. It mirrors the prologue in a grim symmetry. One friend dies to save Mitchell. Mitchell sacrifices part of himself to end the threat. Advanced Warfare uses its futuristic look to tell a very old truth. Heroism is not what the EXO can do. It is what a person decides to spend. The officer who stayed World War II narrows the camera to one platoon and one officer who makes the most traditional sacrifice in the franchise. In Hill 493, the 1st Infantry Division is ground down to splinters. Lieutenant Joseph Turner sees a German counterattack forming and orders Sergeant Pearson to pull the men back. Turner will hold the hill alone. He moves crater to crater, firing to keep heads down while his squad disappears over the ridge. He is hit and keeps firing. He is hit again and refuses to move. He dies doing the exact thing officers are meant to do when there is no one left to give the order to. Turner's death is quiet, seen through Private Ronald Daniels' eyes and framed without trumpets. It changes the way every later scene plays. Pearson's hard edges look like grief under discipline. Daniels' recklessness compresses into responsibility. When the epilogue sends the squad to rescue Zeusman from a forced march, it reads as an echo of Turner's last command. He died to get them off a hill. They live by refusing to leave anyone on a road. Mechanically, Dwight DeSuter underlines the moment by making resources finite. Health kits matter. Squad abilities matter. The game trains you to ration. Turner's final act is the macro version of that logic. When there is nothing left to spend, you spend yourself. Memorial in the Void. Infinite Warfare travels farthest from Earth to deliver one of Call of Duty's closest portraits of leadership as sacrifice. In Operation Bloodstorm, the final mission, Operation Bloodstorm, takes place in orbit around Mars, not Mercury. The Retribution makes a suicidal assault on the SDF shipyard stationed above Mars. The bridge is wrecked, the hull is screaming, and the only way to free the main guns is from inside the failing mounts. E3 and Ethan volunteers. He has gone from comic relief to partner across the campaign, and he meets this end with a soldier's cadence. Captain, I am ready. He overloads the coupling and dies in the blast. Reyes understands what comes next. He stays aboard to guide the dying cruiser into the enemy carrier, ordering Lieutenant Salter and the remaining pilots to abandon ship. He chooses to be the last person on the last ship. The screen does not cut away from the cold. There is no soft focus. The stars swallow the captain and offer no answer back. The epilogue is a memorial. Surviving crew listen to voicemails that the dead never sent. Names fill the screen and then fade. The campaign's mechanics make the lost land. The Jackal sequences teach formation discipline and call sign trust. The shipboard decisions put you in a commander's chair often enough that when Reyes stays, you know why he cannot ask anyone else to do it. It is a sacrifice without spectacle, which may be why it lingers longer than explosions. A debt that survivors pay ghosts tells a family story wrapped in sabotage and invasion. The death that matters most is not a sacrifice. Elias Walker is executed by Rourke in Sin City while his sons watch. It is meant to break them, and for a moment, it does. His lessons become their armor. Move quiet. Shoot straight. Trust your brother. The campaign ends on a wound rather than a funeral, with Rourke's survival and Logan's capture setting up a sequel that never arrived. Why include it in a catalog of heroic deaths? Because Call of Duty often locates heroism in the people who live with the loss. Elias does not get to dive on a grenade or stand a corridor alone. He dies powerless. The heroism belongs to what his sons do after, to the way grief becomes a mission that does not fit on a mission select screen. The self you choose to die as Black Ops Cold War turns memory into the battleground and identity into the weapon. Your operative is Bell. The question is who Bell really is, and the answer is determined by the player. Across the campaign, Adler and the CIA rebuild Bell's mind inside a hall of mirrors. In the Truth Route, the final countdown, Bell accepts that parts of their past were manufactured and still chooses to help stop Perseus's nuclear strike plan. The finale climaxes with a final confrontation between Bell and Adler after the attack is foiled. Outcomes vary based on your choices. Bell can die, Adler can die. Treat any Bell death on the Truth Route as a legitimate heroic endpoint because the player actively chose duty first and accepted the cost. In the Lie route, Ashes to Ashes, Bell rejects Adler's frame and sides with Perseus. Old allies become targets. The idea of a heroic death dissolves into an anti-martyrdom where the operative lives while others pay. The game wants that discomfort. It argues that tactics and tools are morally neutral. The difference between hero and villain is the story you decide to complete. Design choices reinforce the theme. Safehouse dialogue selections matter. Optional evidence puzzles build your confidence in the truth path. The brainwashing sequence overlays numbers and unreliable memories until you decide which version of Bell you will inhabit. When Bell dies for the right outcome on the truth path, it lands as a chosen identity more than a scripted beat. The sacrifice is not only of a body, it is of a self that you consciously claimed in defiance of conditioning. Grief without glory. The reboot timeline resists easy echoes of past martyrdoms. Modern Warfare 2 ends without a terminal act of heroism from Task Force 141. Shepard's failures are exposed. Graves becomes the focus of betrayal and payback. The team survives by refusing to be maneuvered into a dramatic last stand. The statement is clear. Sometimes the heroic thing is to deny your enemy the spectacle. Modern Warfare 3 breaks that equilibrium. In Trojan Horse, John Soap McTavish is killed by Makarov in the London Underground during an attempt to stop a mass casualty attack. The tunnels compress sight lines. The team is pressed for seconds and angles. Makarov gets the drop, and Soap falls. It is not a sacrifice, it is a wound. Why include a non-sacrificial death in a list about heroic ones? Because Call of Duty uses such losses to set the stage for later sacrifice. Roach and Ghost were murdered in Modern Warfare 2, and that violence produced the resolve that finished Shepard. Soap's death in Modern Warfare 3 is designed to alter every decision Price makes afterward. It is a bill stapled to the next story. Even when a death is not heroic, the series treats it as the gravity that bends someone else toward a future act of selflessness. Taken together, the absence of a clean, heroic death in Modern Warfare 2 and the presence of a raw, unchosen death in Modern Warfare 3 make the same point from opposite sides. Heroism is not always available. Timing, physics, or a villain's luck can take it off the table. When that happens, the franchise shifts the burden to the survivors, asking what kind of act they will perform to balance the ledger.